Hello everyone, welcome to the biology class. This is Ram. We are moving on to the next chapter, that is on sexual reproduction in flowering plants. We're going to be discussing a few examples on this chapter regards to NEET. So let's start with the first example. Yes, first example, that is polyembryony is commonly reported in. Options are like this: potato, wheat, apple and citrus. So polyembryony is nothing but the development of more than two number of embryos within a fruit or within a ovule, that is called as a polyembryony. So as usual, these kind of a polyembryony system is might be majorly present in a axial placentation. So citrus is the best example for axial placentation. So answer is D. We can see here in this picture, those are the plants of citrus. Okay, so usually when it comes to the development, so how they will develop in a bulk. So you can see here, you just copy that one. Second example, dioxy in plants, that is to an papaya, prevents what? So options are like this: both xenogamy and goitogamy. B, xenogamy but not geitonogamy. C, both geitonogamy and autogamy. D, autogamy but not geitonogamy. So answer is C only. Why? I'll tell you later. First, we should know the definitions of geitonogamy and autogamy. What do you mean by geitonogamy? The transfer of pollen grains from the anther to stigma, another flower of a same plant. This is the definition of geitonogamy. Just keep in mind. So when it comes to autogamy, the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to stigma of the same plants. This is the definition of autogamy. Now the reason for that. Autogamy occurs in the bisexual flowers. Okay. So geitonogamy flowers are unisexual but present in the same plant. So when it comes to dioecious condition, is observed when unisexual male and female flowers are present on different plants, and it prevents both autogamy and geitonogamy. So this is the reason for this one. You just note it down. Third example, artificial hybridization is carried out with the help of emasculation and bagging techniques. Which one of the following condition is correct for artificial hybridization with respect to plants producing unisexual flowers? Options are like this: both male and female flowers are bagged. Only male flowers are bagged. C, there is no need of bagging of both flowers. D, only female flowers are bagged. Before we are going to answer this one, so you should know the definitions of emasculation and bagging. Emasculation is nothing but removal of anther from the flower. Bagging is nothing but a method of artificial hybridization, covers the flowers by bags to a controlled cross-pollination. So, as usual, in order to produce a unisexual flower, we should bag either male or a female. If we cover the male flowers, it can't produce, because male flowers are responsible for the fusion and the embryo development after the gamete fusion. But when we cover the female flower, so it leads to what? We can add anything to there. We can add any particular flower or any particular unisexual flower, and we can develop into a unisexual flower. So answer is D, that is only female flowers are bagged. Fourth example, that is the ovule is attached to placenta by. Usually in this chapter you should focus on examples as well as the diagrams. So diagrams are carrying a major role when it comes to NEET. So most of the question, not most of the questions, maximum one or two questions may arise from diagrammatically. So please focus on diagrams. So the question is like this. I'll repeat the question. The ovule is attached to a placenta by hilum, chalaza, funicle and stipe. So as usual, you just seen this diagram. You can see that funicle is the stalk of a ovule. So answer is, what is that? B. So fifth example, that is pollination is the characteristics features of. Options are like this: A, bryophytes; B, fungi; C, angiosperm; D, gymnosperms and angiosperms. So as usual, in bryophytes and fungi, there is no presence of pollination. So when it comes to angiosperm, there is a presence of pollination. You already knew that. So our last D option is the gymnosperms and angiosperms. When it comes to gymnosperms, the pollination takes place in an external way, that is to by wind and water. So in few cases, so as usual, angiosperm. So the answer is gymnosperms and angiosperms are having a what? The pollination nature, and the pollination is the one of the characteristic feature of a gymnosperms and angiosperm. 8 nucleated embryo sac is formed from megaspore by undergoing. The options are like this: A. 1 meiotic division, B. 2 meiotic divisions, C. 3 mitotic divisions, D. 1 mitotic and 3 meiotic divisions. So answer is 3 meiotic divisions. How, sir? So it develops from one of the two dyad forms as a result of the first meiotic division, that is a meiosis first, of megaspore mother cell. So both the nuclei of functional dyad take part in the formation of embryo sac. So each nucleus undergo 2 mitotic division and the mature embryo sac is formed into a 8 nucleotide cells. So as usual, here 3 mitotic divisions are going to takes place. So you can see the here in this picture also. So as usual, after the megaspore development, so 3 mitotic division takes place and forms into megagametophyte. Example 7, that is, which of the following family members of plant shows high pollen viability period for the month? Pollen viability period means it is a certain period. In that period only pollens are going to fertile or reproduce. Okay, that is the thing for a month. So options are like this: Solanaceae, Rosaceae, Leguminaceae, and all of these. Usually in all of these, okay, the pollen viability period for a month is very high. So answer is D. 8th example. Pollen grain in angiosperms is released at which stage? Options are like this: A. 1-celled stage, B. 2-celled, C. 3-celled, D. 2 or 3-celled. So option is already you knew that is a D. So how it is, sir? After the formation of a microspore mother cells, so it's going to divide meiotically and forms a tetrad of microspore. After that, again it undergoes repeated meiotic divisions and forms into what? 2-celled stage and a 3-celled stage. During that, okay, sperm cells are going to form and it helps to what? Releasing of pollen grains in angiosperm. So in a 2-cell stage, that is forms into a generative cell. In 4 cells, it forms into what? Sperm cells. So as usual, so 2 or 3-cell stage is going to release the pollen grains. Okay. In grasses, what happens in microspore mother cell for the formation of fully matured pollen grains? Options are like this: 1 meiotic and 2 mitotic division, B. 1 meiotic and 1 mitotic divisions, C. 2 mitotic division, and D. 1 mitotic divisions. So as usual, when it comes to the life cycle of grasses, you can see in this picture, okay, already in next slide, there is a slide for you. In that slide, you can easily observe that before the formation of young microspore, so 1 meiotic division going to takes place. Because of meiotic division, it forms into what? Young microspores. After that, these young microspores are undergone for the mitotic division 1 and 2. So that will leads to formation of what? The sperm cells and everything. Okay, they will forms into, okay, leads to a pollination. So this is the step which are going to involve in the grass development. Okay. So answer is what? A. Okay, that is one mitotic and one meiotic and two mitotic divisions are going to take place in grasses. Tenth example, that is one advantages of cleistogamy is. Before we going to know the options and answer, we should know the definition of cleistogamy. That is self-fertilization that occurs within a permanently closed flowers. Cleistogamy flowers are nothing but closed flowers. So then I'll move on to the options. First option, it is lead to the greater genetic diversity. B, seed dispersal is more efficient and widespread. So this is also not right one, because usually they are closed flowers. So even though the cross pollination won't take place in these kind of flowers, that's why A option is also wrong one. So C, seed set is not dependent on pollinators. Exactly, because pollinators are not needed here, because already inside to it there for anthers, okay, it can fertilize inside to it. D, each visit of a pollinator results in a transfer of hundreds of pollen grains. So absolutely wrong. So first of all, the cleistogamy flowers are nothing but closed flowers. How can it possible the pollinators enters into the ovary? So C is the answer. That is, seed set is not dependent on pollinators. 11th example, hydrophily is the best explained in. Options are like this: Nelumbium, Nymphia, C, Eichhornia, last one Vallisneria. So answer is Vallisneria. Hydrophily is nothing but the pollination is going to take place in a water medium. So as usual, when it comes to Vallisneria, male and female plants are separated to each other, and usually they are dioecious in nature. So when male flowers are going to release the pollen grains in a water medium, and they will float in a water and reach the female flower and fuse with the egg. That is the process of what? Vallisneria. So this one is best explained in a Vallisneria. 12th example, that is to complete on diagrammatic. Okay, so question is like this: identify the functions of A, B, C in the following diagram of single microsporangium of an anther. So diagram is like this. Okay, they label some A, B, C. So answer is like this. So first option A is, so that A zone is helps in the digestions of anther, B is helps in a nourishes of pollen grains, and C as well as helps in grain form spaces tetrad. So this is the right answer. That is, C is the right answer. Okay, you can see here in this diagram the layers are like this. First outermost layer epidermis, and innermost one endothecium, and C middle layers, and as usual last one what? Tapetum. So as usual, epidermis is helps in the not epidermis, they labeled for the endothecium. Endothecium is helps in digestions of anther. So as usual as tapetum helps in the nourishes of pollen grains, and so B is there. B helps in what? Not C. Grains form spore tetrad. Inside to that, the spore tetrads are going to form. That is to inner to microspore mother cells. So as usual, so endothecium helps in what? Digestions of anther. So the next one, B is like this, nourishes of pollen grains. That is a tapetum layer. They label for the tapetum. And C is helps in the grain forms a space tetrad. So just keep in mind. The diagrams given below are gynoecium, pistil of dash and dash respectively. Option A, papavara and hibiscus. B, papavara and micaelia. C, micaelia and papavara. D, papavara and mango. So as usual, these diagrams are belongs to what? Papavara and micaelia. So option is B. 14th example, that is nutritive tissue of the ovule is. So nucellus, B, nucleus, hilum, and embryo sac. Nucleus is the functional unit of gamete or a cell. So hilum is the scare region for a funicle, and embryo sac is the reproductive reproductive part and centermost portion of an ovule. So it involves in only fertilization or a fusion. But when it comes to nucellus, it helps in the supplying a nutrition to the embryo sac development. So nucellus is the right answer. So option is A. In which of the aquatic plants pollination occurs inside the water? So options are like this: A. Water hyacinth, B. Water lily, C. Vallisneria, D. Zostera. In regards to Vallisneria, we already discussed that one. So in which of the aquatic plants pollination occurs inside the water? So as usual, so in when it comes to Vallisneria, the pollen grains are float on the surface of water. They are not inside the water. So sea grasses is the best example for this answer. That is a Zostera or Zostera, you can pronounce that one. So answer D is the right one. As 16th example, pollen pistil interaction includes all the events. Pollen pistil interaction and from the beginning, pollen germinate agbuttu, release agbuttu till the fusion of male and female gametes in the ovary. That is completely called it as what? Pollen pistil interaction. So that includes all the events ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So options are like this: that occurs between pollen grains and stigma. This is not the right thing because pistil is nothing but style, stigma and ovary. So B, from the deposition of pollen grains on the stigma till the last stage of fertilization. From the deposition of pollen grains ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So only it not considering the germination and everything is not there. So this is also wrong thing. C, occurs within the pistil. So this is also not only occurs means receiving the pollen grains. So this is not the right thing. And D, from the deposition of pollen grains on the stigma till the pollen tube enters the ovule. Andre, so only till the enter, fusion is not there. Okay, that is called as what? The answer is like this: from the deposition of pollen grains on the stigma till the pollen tube enter the ovule. So answer is D. Okay, 17th example. If seeds possesses endosperm, then they are classified under. So usually there are two classifications are there in endosperm. One is albuminous seeds, another is a what? Ex-albuminous seeds. Albuminous seeds are nothing but endospermic seeds. Ex-albuminous means there is a presence of absence of endosperm, not the presence, absence of endosperms. Options are like this: A, albuminous seeds, right answer. B, ex-albuminous seeds, wrong one. Then C, endospermic seeds, and D, both A and C. So answer is both A and C. 18th example, perisperm, that is residual persistent nucellus is seen in. What do you mean by residual persistence? So the seeds containing perisperm are called as a perispermic seeds. Perisperm is a residual part, so that's why it's called as a residual persistent nucleus. Usually these kind of a residual persistent nucellus is present in black pepper, beech, but not in a castor. That's why answer is both A and B. So that is black pepper and beech. 19th example. So that is, which of the following group of plants produces both chasmogamous and clistogamous flowers? Chasmo andre open flowers, and clisto means closed flowers. So options are like this: A, viola and camelina, B, hibiscus and oxalis, C, Commelina and sunflower, D, oxalis and Vallisneria. So answer is A, that is viola and camelina. 20th example, and it is the last example for today's session. Compare the statement A and B. Statement A, allogamy results in genetic variation. This one is a right answer, because why? Allogamy is nothing but the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to stigma, especially one on different plants. So it can vary. Xenogamy, statement B. Xenogamy results in greater genetic variation than the geitonogamy. Exactly. Xenogamy is nothing but anther to stigma, the transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of genetically different plants. So it can also vary greater genetic variation than gytonogamy. So answer is both A and B are right. So as usual, options are like this. A and B statements are correct in first option. B, both statement A and B incorrect. C, A is correct but B is wrong. D, A wrong and B also is correct. So option is both are correct. So from this example, we'll stop this session. And thank you so much for your patience. We'll be back again with the next chapter. Till now, stay home, stay safe.